Welcome to the Self-Care Show with Deidre Sanford. Although holistic and alternative healing methods are becoming more and more mainstream, what method is right for you? How do you find a practitioner once you've chosen to explore an alternative therapy? Each week, Deidre will explore a different modality with practitioners who will explain their modality and the benefits they and their clients have received through their sessions. She and her guests may also offer live readings during the show. Now, your host of the Self-Care Show, Deidre Sanford.
Hello and good Wednesday to everyone. It's May 10th and we're almost halfway through the year. I'm kind of having a hard time coming to terms with that as it comes out of my mouth. I'm like, ooh, it's almost June. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Look at that. We got all kinds of comments coming in already this morning. Lee's here, Melanie, Wendy. Hey, Joe, what's happening? Luana and Lisa. It's so much fun to see that you guys are already here, all jumped in the chat, primed and ready to go. Is that Talisha? I hope I pronounced that correctly. And we have a Facebook user popping in saying, Buenos dias. Buenos dias. I am so very much looking forward to welcoming Kristina to the Self-Care Show. Anne, good morning to you as well. We all know Kristina already, right? Otherwise, some of y'all wouldn't be here yet this morning. She is the host of Be the Change here on WLTK DB on Monday evenings. And Christine, good morning. And I'm super, super excited that she agreed to come and join us here this morning on the Self-Care Show. But I got a question. I got to throw this out there because it's driving me a little nuts. So if I toss it to you guys, maybe I'll get some interesting responses. And of course, as usual, I'm probably overthinking this. But last night, I don't know, between work and eating way too much sugar and doing a sugar crash and these crazy energies of the day, I crawled in bed super early last night. I mean, like disgustingly early, like, I don't know, 8:30 or something. And played on Facebook for a little bit and just did the whole decompress thing. And I drifted off to sleep at some point, and I woke up because I heard someone call my name. And they weren't going to tell me who they were, even though I kept asking. And all of a sudden, I had to jump out of bed and run out the front door and go hang out outside for a little bit. So as I walked out the front door, I look up in the beautiful night sky in this heavily residential area. And there are these lights coming at me. And a couple of them are red and the white ones are flashing. And there's a white one hanging underneath. And it's just steady. And this thing is buzzing right toward me, right over my head. Shoo. And I just stood there with rapt attention, looking at this thing, trying to figure out, what are you? And I kept waiting to hear the noise that we usually get when an airplane or a helicopter goes overhead. There was no noise, y'all. It was just the normal background sounds of the highway in the distance. And I kept really trying to figure out what's going on with this thing. It just glided, effortlessly through the air. It was really strange. It didn't seem to be bogged down by its own weight. It just hung out. And I walked around and I got in my car. And I could still see this thing, and I just kept watching. And I have no idea why it attracted so much attention in my life, and why did I wake up because my name was called and suddenly know I had to get out of bed and walk outside. I'm assuming to see this thing. Hey, Bill, it's great to see you. Jamie Lynn, you guys both popped in right about the same time. Big hugs to you as well, Bill. Lee, I'm with you. Visitors from another planet. But here's the thing. My grounded self wants to know what this is. My grounded self is like, no noise. My roommate came home and I'm like, hey, did you see that thing? Because I'd only been back in the house like 10, 15 minutes. She'd been out driving. She had no idea what I was talking about. Of course, not everybody pays that much attention to the sky. And then I had to message Todd. I'm like, if anybody's going to help me ferret this out, it's going to be our amazing producer, Todd Bates. He's your guy. Todd said the same thing that my roommate and I said last night. It's a drone. Maybe it's a drone. And I forgot about it. Went to sleep. Hey, Casey, good morning. Yes, I can see your message. Thank you. See, Lee, thank you for jumping on board with me because I feel like I'm a little cuckoo bananas over this whole thing right about now. Look, folks, planes have a red light and a green light. So the only conclusion that seems reasonable, right? Come on, welcome to the Paranormal Talk Radio channel, is a drone. So I'm kind of hanging out with the idea of drone. Hey, T, good morning. But you never know, right? There's always a reason for everything. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there. Your ideas are welcome. And yeah, I know I sound to some people a little bit crazy because I find this so interesting. But there you go. That's what's on my mind this morning. What's on your mind this morning? Hey, Melanie, I know I'm really kind of leaning toward drone just because I have to. Yes, thank you, Lee. That's what I thought too. But other people have said, no, drones don't make a lot of noise. And why is this light flashing? If it's a drone and it's flying at night, it can't be doing a video because its own flashing light would disrupt the audio or the visual, right? I'm working at letting this go, but clearly I'm not being very successful. So thanks for listening to my rant. And thanks for your thoughts and your ideas. And Lee, thank you for your support in your thoughts. Melanie said she thinks the noise would depend on the distance, and I would have to agree. However, in the night sky, flying fairly low over a residential area, one would think that noise would echo. But hey, what do I know? What do I know? What I do know is that we're all here to talk with Kristina Bloom this morning. She is the host, as I said, of Be the Change right here on WLTK DB. She is an author, she's a spiritual advisor, and she's just a wonderful, all-around, amazing human being. Come on in here, Kristina. Show us your beautiful face. There she is.
That was really quite an introduction. I don't know that I can live up to all that. Thank you.
Oh, I think you can surpass it. I don't think I did you justice at all.
First of all, I'm a little jealous,
Right.
and I'm a little curious. Do you know what time your name was called?
Probably about 9:30 last night. 9:30, between 9:30 and 9:37. I can get there's a 7 in there.
There's
I
a 7
can
in there, yeah.
narrow to about that far. I had drifted off to sleep, so I was probably doing like that hypnagogic state.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It was interesting because as I was drifting off to sleep last night, I heard 3 knocks.
Really?
Yeah. That's not usual for me. I'm more likely to hear my name being called or hear a voice or something. And hi, Joe. Hi, everybody. I've been reading the comments, by the way. This has been really interesting conversation. I've been waiting for that mothership since I was a little kid to come back and get me. I mean, they dropped me on this planet, right? So come back and get me. No.
We need you here. That's what they're telling you.
Yeah, no
You're
kidding.
like,
Katie's right. The night owl has risen. Hi, Christine. Christine is one of my dearest friends of all time. And so thank you for tuning in, Christine.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Melanie wants to go with you when the mothership comes back.
Awesome.
Hey, Courtney.
Let's do it.
Good morning.
Yeah, that's an interest. I didn't even know you had that experience. That's interesting.
Well, it's hot off the press.
Yeah, how about that?
I even went to one of my local neighborhood, what's happening in, and said, okay, who else saw these lights last night?
Nada?
I've gotten nothing so far. I'm thinking,
wow. Good morning, Jamie Lynn. Good morning, Courtney.
Maybe starting to wake up and prowl their Facebook, but we'll see. It's a little late in the day. Anyway, Kristina, I'm so excited that you're here today with us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, it was exciting when you said yes. Yay. So let's dive in. Let's talk a little bit more about you.
Oh, do we have to? All right.
Well,
what do you want to know about me? Let's see. I have a busy schedule. I keep myself very booked. My family and friends are like, we ever going to see you again? Sure, just show up to my event.
And we're so very fortunate that you plucked us into your schedule for an hour this morning. Thank you again.
Thank you.
No lights. Courtney has no lights. So you are amazing. You're a host of your own show, don't you? Do you have 2?
I did have 2, but my co-host passed on one of them, and so
it was the show with Logan.
Yeah, that was a show with Logan. So, I did the show for him, so I didn't want to do it without him.
Oh, I don't blame you.
So, yeah.
Such a beautiful experience to be able
Yeah.
to do that too. You're so blessed for that.
Yeah. I really am. I really am. Yeah.
You've got Be the Change on, it's Monday night at 8, right?
Monday nights at 8. And this month we're doing Medical May.
Oh,
So we're
nice.
dealing with different health issues throughout
Ah,
the month of May.
I grabbed a hold of some bits and pieces of
Okay.
2 of those shows, and they're just, you've got like the most amazing guests, and they have so much wonderful information to share. Casey wants to
Yeah.
know if you're going to be in lacrosse this weekend at Soul and Synergy.
Oh, yes, I am. Yes, I am
Fantastic.
at the Radisson. Yeah.
Perfect. Radisson in lacrosse. We all now know
Radisson
where to find
lacrosse.
Kristina this weekend.
Yeah. On
Love it.
Saturday. Yeah.
I wish I were closer to you guys, let me tell you.
You're
So
somewhere in Illinois, right?
I am. I'm about
Okay.
35 miles west of Chicago.
Okay. That's not that far.
No, not at all.
Nope. Nope.
And then you've also written a couple of books.
I have. I got
Yeah.
one of them right there.
Just one.
Well, I'm out of the other one.
So
But I have
Intuitive-
Intuitive You.
Yeah.
And this is basically, it's a textbook for my psychic development class,
Ooh,
or at least for part 1 of my psychic development
lovely.
class. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, Casey. I can't wait to see you. She's going to be there Saturday. Woo, woo. Yeah.
Yay. And Jamie Lynn is reminding us that you've got Haunted Voice on Friday night.
Yeah, I'm going to be on Todd Nicole's show. Friday
Woohoo!
night.
Oh, that'll be
So
so much fun.
I know. I'm really excited about that. We always have fun.
Can't
We
wait.
probably laugh more than we talk.
And Todd just popped your website up in there for
Thank
us.
you, Todd.
Channeled Messages from the Divine.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's talk
That's
about that one. Sorry,
that's
we're like all
fun.
over.
I know. We're like boop, 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 boop. It's like the ADHD morning show here. Hi, Angela.
It's the caffeine.
It must be, and it's got to be my magical crystal ball cup. So channeled messages. Yeah, I am a trance channel. So
Mhm.
I go into trance. Someone else comes through and speaks through me. So I'm not really there. I mean, I know what's happening while it's happening. Afterwards, I don't really remember very much. But that started actually in a women's abundance group. Oh my gosh, maybe 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, close to 20 years ago. And I was hearing someone talking to me, you know, because I'm a medium too. So I hear voices and they were talking to me and I couldn't quite get the message across. Like they weren't quite getting it. And the next thing I know, I open my mouth to a room full of women going,
What just happened?
Fortunately, a few of them took notes. Christine was there. My friend Christine was there, I think. And that was Bartholomew, a collective, much like Abraham, coming through and sharing the message.
Nice.
And so, yeah, that was really interesting. That started the whole trance channeling thing. It taught me a lot about boundaries. It taught me that I needed to write a contract with the universe because, you know, a few weeks later, I'm driving down the West Coast Highway and someone jumped into my body who did not know how to drive my car.
Oh, no.
So I managed to get off the road and into a parking lot. And I got out and I probably looked like a crazy person in a Target parking lot, but I was like, get out now. And so, yeah, that was my first experience with, you need to write a contract with the universe if you're going to do this work, because there are just sometimes it's not safe.
Boundaries,
you know, no one is allowed to jump into my body, first of all, without my permission. Second of all, while I'm driving or when I'm cooking, because, you know, sharp objects in heat with someone who doesn't know how to do sharp objects in heat, that'd not be good.
No, not at all.
Not good. So, I have since channeled a lot of others, including Pleiadians. So, you know, yes. So, yeah, that's the channeling. And yeah.
Well, and you use the word boundaries. I mean, I can't even imagine what kind of a mixed blessing or mixed bag that ability presents in day-to-day life. You just gave us two. Yeah, Jamie Lynn's like, in the shower. Yeah.
Yeah. Fortunately,
Um,
it's never happened in the shower, but I should probably put that in there.
That's funny. That's, oddly, I mean, water, right? Conducive
Right.
or conductive.
Mhm.
That's one of my favorite places to have my meetings in the morning. I have a friend that's like, why would you do that in the shower? You're naked. I'm like, and you think they care?
Yeah, they don't care.
But it's one of those things that the morning ritual kind of lends itself to incorporating the meeting into my ritual. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
I do a
funny.
meditation in the shower every morning. So it's, it's the
Mhm.
water's washing over me. There's light washing through me and
Yep.
clearing out everything that gets in my way and filling me up with love and light and focus. Focus. Need a lot of focus.
What's that? Hey, Mary, how are you?
Oh, look, Mary is
No, I don't know, Mary.
Yeah.
We're probably doing pretty well, but thanks for popping in. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Let
Thank you,
us know
Todd.
you're out there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So you were talking about boundaries.
Yes.
And I think that kind of lends itself perfectly to today's topic as suggested, which I may have slipped a cog, but I think we're going to be talking about self-care for empaths and intuitives. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we talked about. People who are sensitive to energies and, so self-care is really, boundaries is huge with self-care for empaths, for people who are sensitive to energies, for, it's, oh, good morning, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
Excuse me. Oh, my nose itches. Yeah, we
Excuse
were
me.
talking about, yeah. Yeah, boundaries with people who are sensitive to energy is hugely important, especially if you have to be around other people.
And who doesn't?
Yeah, right. I mean, some people get to stay home and not leave, and some people have to like be isolated, which is a completely different type of boundary. But yeah, just being able to manage our own energy, which is what I call boundaries. I call it managing your own energy. And, if we're not paying attention, and you can test this with a pendulum or divining rods, but if we're not paying attention, I mean, our own electromagnetic field goes out a long ways.
Yeah.
So if we are able to learn how to pull that in and be able to decide where our boundary is, then we don't have multiple people in our space because we have it right there.
Yeah. I remember it was another show, one of your other episodes of your show was on, and I tuned in as you guys were talking about energy and energy fields and expanding and contracting your own field. And I popped in the comment, turtle up. And I think you kind of chuckled and decided you weren't sure where I was coming from. So we kind of looked over that, which was perfectly understandable. And I completely get it. But that's one of the exercises that we used to do when I had an office at the Intuitive Arts Cabin in a neighboring suburb. When we were all still learning about energy and controlling our own, and it involved dowsing rods.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways we tested our own and each other's abilities to expand our field. When we consciously choose to do so, we'd walk toward the person holding the rods and see how close we could get before the rods started to expand.
Right. And it was what, 25, 30 feet?
I think initially with a lot of practice, we could get to 25, 30 feet. We're also used to making ourselves small, or especially those of us with trauma backgrounds, making ourselves small. So that we're unseen and unnoticed, and the piece stays the same. That I had to learn that it's okay for me to choose to take up space.
Yeah.
So as we would experiment with that, turtling up, and how much longer would it take for those rods to expand?
Okay. Interesting.
That was a fun little exercise.
That's interesting because most of the people that I work with already have expanded fields. And they're overwhelmed and they're exhausted because they're taking on everybody's energy all the time. Well, that's because, if your energy field goes out 25, 30 feet, you're standing in the middle of that. That is a radius around you, right? So everybody who walks through it is going to leave some sort of energy pattern in your energy field, and they're going to take some of your energy with them because energy is constantly moving. So I have taught people to pull in their energy because most of the people I know are way out there.
Yeah.
Me included. I have to pay attention to where my energy is, because I can just let it wander on out for a really big distance. And so I want to be able to pull it in. And so what I teach people is what I call the hula hoop method. So pretend that there's a hula hoop floating around you and pull your energy inside of that.
Oh, cool.
So that brings your energy into about, probably 18 to 24 inches from your body.
Mm-hmm.
That means anybody getting into your energy field is either invading your space or has
Yeah.
been invited.
Anyway, let's hope they're invited.
Yes.
It's interesting, we don't
Yeah.
think about those accidental brushes with people that we may be passing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
exactly.
so many of us aren't consciously programmed to be aware of the shifts in the energy around us.
Right. But the thing is, so many of us pick up on it, but we're not necessarily conscious that we've picked up on it. Right. So there's, we can walk into a room and all of a sudden we're feeling like we're suffocating, or we're feeling like a pain that we didn't have before, or just feeling closed in and like, I got to get out of here, because energy takes up space. You know what I mean? Like energetic space taking up it can feel like a full room when there's 2 or 3 people in it, with all of the energy in it. And that could be spirits, that could be just energy, it could be any number of things, but energy gets stagnant when you can't move. Mm-hmm. And so we have to be able to either move it out or put up a boundary.
And you were talking about boundarying, so to speak, our own energy field by pulling it in using the hula hoop method, or turtling up.
Or turtling up. That was a really good way to say that, but I didn't quite catch it at the time.
Oh, no. I like flew into your show completely out of nowhere, and we had no personal contact prior to that comment in your show. You're like, I don't know who this is. I'm going to let that go. And I don't blame you. But what do we do if we want to affect the energy in the room? Like, we walk in the room and we're like, okay, this energy is really stale and stagnant. Say we're at a meeting that needs just a little oomph because everybody in the room is like, how can we affect that in a positive way?
Well, I do a lot of it just in my head, right? So it's in my imagination, but it works really well. What I do is that I sweep the room. I sweep all the energy out. And then it becomes like a neutral space. And then I decide what energy I want to put in there.
Nice.
So, if I'm going into a business meeting, I want to put in light, productive, joyful, successful. What do you want in a business meeting? And I don't like to do heavy business. I like to do light business because light business is easier. It's just easier. So, that's what I do is I clear the energy in the room. And if it takes a little bit more, then I'll use violet light and white flame, which is just visualizing that around the ceiling and wall where they meet, and maybe around the floor too, if you feel the need, and just filling it with light, but clearing it first, because if you add energy to energy that's already there, it just feels even heavier. Right. So you want to be able to clear that energy out and then fill the space. The universe does not like a void. So if you're going to clear energy, you have to make a conscious decision about what you want that replaced with. What energy do you want it replaced with?
That's exactly one of the things. The first time I actually considered that was early in energy healing training. If you're going to go in, I started with Reiki and then I moved on to pranic healing, and I found pranic was more appropriate for me. It felt more complete because we're consciously removing, righty tighty, lefty loosey, right? So we use the leftward motion to remove. And then when we project, we're going to fill to the right. And it's that conscious choice to fill that void that you've created, because we don't want just anything settling back in that space, as you were saying.
Right. But that is just, it will just refill with what was ever there before usually, but sometimes it can be something else. I mean, if someone else in that room is usually unconsciously projecting some sort of heavy energy, then that's what's going to fill the room if you don't make a choice as to what's going to be in there.
Yeah.
So
That's a key component to it is choice.
mhm.
Choosing the energy that you're going to allow yourself to sit in, choosing
Yes.
to affect or shift the energy, and then choosing what energy you want to create or bring in.
Right. Exactly.
Yay. And
Exactly.
before all of that, and we briefly touched on this super early on, is being conscious of the energy around you, within you.
hmm
How do we start paying attention to that?
By paying attention to how you feel.
Mhm.
That's really the key component. How do I feel? Um, I will let's just take a mall, for example. Man, if I do not pull
Yeah.
my energy in and
Mhm.
hold it there, walking through a mall, I will walk in one side and crawl out the other because
Yes.
it is so chaotic and so much of other people's energy and so much of, um, how do I explain this? I can't walk into a casino either for the same reason because
Ugh.
it's like flashing lights and desperation and gotta, and it's I can't even do it. Like,
I can walk in, but I can't stay very long.
yeah, I got to the gift shop one time. That was about as far as I could make it. I just turned around and left. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Anxiety. If you walk into a space and your anxiety goes up, there's something
Mhm.
wrong with the energy there. There's
Now,
yeah.
I want to clarify that. Is it something wrong with the energy or something that's not in alignment with where you choose to be?
Yeah, not in alignment. That's probably a better way to say it.
And I wasn't going
Yeah.
for better.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
talk about, maybe right after we come back from a quick break, I want to talk about being able to differentiate. Is
Yeah.
it mine? Is it not mine? How do we evaluate?
Yeah.
I think most of the folks who've tuned in to join us today are pretty well aware
hmm
of the kinds of scenarios we're talking about, walking into a space and knowing that it doesn't feel right. But
Right.
I'm not sure that all of us, we probably to an extent, but I'm sure you have much to share about discerning whether that is ours, someone else's, when we feel a shift.
hmm
And then how do we trace that?
I ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just ask, and I use muscle testing a lot.
Mhm.
So, and I do it just sitting here all the time. Like my right hand, I'm sorry, my left hand is yes, and my right hand is no. So, and I know you can't really see it, but it's like, show me my yes, show me my no,
Wow.
and then is this my energy? Yes. I mean, of course, I'm sitting in my office. I'm sitting in,
Right.
my own space. Of course, it's my energy. But in other situations, or if I feel a sudden random pain somewhere, and I'm a physical
Yeah.
empath, so I feel other people's physical
Mhm.
pain, it's just supposed to be a message. Don't hold on to that stuff.
Yeah.
It's
What is it
just
you're trying to tell
information. Hi,
me?
Robin. All
When,
right.
when, when you can figure out why you're feeling what you're feeling or sensing what you're sensing,
Right.
oftentimes when we speak it, or even as we're speaking it and working our way through it, once we hit on the reason it's being shown to us, or we're allowed to sense or feel it, then it can dissipate. Sometimes
Yes.
it's simply the acknowledgement of that.
Right. Right. So I can just say, okay, this isn't mine. Show me who it belongs to, and then I can let it go.
Love it. I
Yeah.
love it. So we've already given or talked about at least 3 nuggets, 3 really solid takeaways. I think
Right.
before any of us hit overload, myself and you included,
Yes.
we're going to take a super quick station break, and we will be right back.
Awesome.
Paranormal Party. Based in Wisconsin is a small paranormal investigation team that believes in the stigma of those who believe in the afterlife. Paranormal Party strives to bring positive energy into all their investigations. They have investigated several locations, including haunted homes, jails, asylums, schools, and more. Every team has a tale, so let Jamie Lynn, Joe, and Keziah share not only their experiences, but also their stories. Paranormal Party. Contact them today. Just search Paranormal Party WI online.
And welcome back. Thanks for sticking around with us. Our guest today on the Self-Care Show here on WLTK DB is the lovely Miss Kristina Bloom. And she's sharing with us techniques and ideas on how to keep your energy, how to take care of yourself as an empath or a highly sensitive individual. Bill had asked a great question, and unfortunately he had to run before I could pop it up here on the screen for us. But I think it's pretty common, a great question that we can all take a look at. And his question is, what if the others are directing, I'm assuming he means the energy, and you're trying to change it?
Yeah, that's a good one, because I think it depends on the situation. Okay, if you walk into a situation where someone else is directing something, let's say they're speaking, like in a public format speaking, right? And you're not comfortable with the energy. What I would suggest is using something like the hula hoop method. Because if they're there to deliver a message, that's their message, and they have a right to deliver it, even if it doesn't resonate with you. Right. So you can just pull in your own energy, disengage from it. And that's one way that you can change it for yourself. If someone, let's say it's not a professional situation like that, or a speaking situation like that, but it's more someone's having a hissy fit.
That never happens.
That never happens. No, God knows I never have them. So please note the sarcasm. But I think in that situation, I like pink ribbons of light. I'm a very visual.
Oh, that's a neat one.
person. Yeah, I'm a very visual person. So if visual doesn't work for you, I can come up with other methods. But I just envision swirling pink ribbons of light around this person who is having a difficulty. And you're literally surrounding them with love. You're not actually interrupting what they're doing. You're just surrounding them with love, and then they can either take it or not. But I do it until I feel better. That makes sense.
Well, I mean, that is kind of the objective. Yes, we can affect change in the room, in the entire space. However, in this situation, the speaker is the focal point, and it's how they're getting their message across. So again, self-care, protect yourself.
Self-care. Yeah,
Shift
exactly.
your immediate area.
And you can use pink ribbons of light on yourself too.
Oh, I love that.
I do that when I'm having a difficult time dealing with something. I will just visualize pink ribbons of light flowing around me. And it might not change the situation that I'm feeling about, but it does help me feel better. Did I miss a funny comment? Oh,
no, I was the visual in my head, and I'd be happy to share that with you. I had like a picture of curling ribbon. Like you wrap packages with, and then you take the edge of a knife and stretch it out, and then it goes and corkscrews. I don't know where that sound effect came from, but all of a sudden the ribbon is curled and sits in a coil. And I had this picture in my head of picking up one of those coils and sliding it over myself visually.
Oh, there you go.
So now I'm really wrapped in those pink ribbons that you're talking about. That was just my personal take on it.
I like
Melanie,
it.
And then Lori, who has sent me a message. I hope that helps with some more specific techniques that can be used in order to shift the energy in your immediate space. And hopefully it'll also help shift the energy in the room. When I say immediate space, I mean your energy.
Right.
And then good morning, Lori. She did not pop her question in our chat, but she sent it over to me on the side.
Okay.
Pink ribbons of light And those are visual exercises that any of us can use at any time.
Mm-hmm.
I love those. I love the bubble that we
Mm-hmm.
can put ourselves into that doesn't allow stuff to penetrate in that isn't of a high vibe. I've used mirrors.
Yeah,
That would
I
be
actually mirror the bubble.
yes.
I
Yes.
put like a reflective coating on the outside of the bubble. I keep hitting my microphone. I'm sorry. I hope that doesn't
You're
sound
being
weird.
emphatic, Kristina.
Talking with my hands.
I do that a lot. Yeah, Bill's saying he deals with a lot of empaths and psychics weekly. And yes,
Yes,
Lori,
he
that helps
does.
clarify things for you. So we're talking about energetic visualizations, how we can switch the energy or affect change in the energy intentionally. Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about some things that we can do physically. Like I have a habit of hanging onto my selenite.
Oh, yeah. I didn't put her on yet, but yes, I have my stone goddess
Yes.
that I wear pretty much every day. I don't know why, it just makes me feel better.
Yeah.
The other things that we can do really are very basic common sense things. We can stay hydrated. We can get enough sleep. We can eat well. I don't know about the rest of you, but if I'm hungry, I have no defenses. I'm just, so yeah, it's those are things that we can do. We can remove ourselves from a situation sometimes, a lot of times, but sometimes if we can't, then, you can't really, if you have to be in a situation for work or whatever reason, sometimes you can't remove yourself from that, but you can take breaks, like even during psychic fairs, sometimes I will just go to the ladies' room because I need to get just some space around me that's just me. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I have to do that. And, sometimes just taking a quick break like that. Again, food, water, very important. Rest is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially, I think right now with all of the energy shifts that are affecting all of us on some level, sleep for so many has been elusive. And I've been fortunate up until the last night or two. I was able to sleep well. Meditations, music of certain vibration in the background to help shift the energy in the space around me.
Yeah, that's good too.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't think of music. Probably because I only listen to it in the car. I don't know. It rarely occurs to me to just play music in my house.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I used to. I don't as much anymore simply because I crave the quiet.
Yeah. I love the quiet.
Yeah. It allows me to hear myself think, or depending on what I'm waiting for incoming stuff too.
Right.
Melanie popped this in just before we went to break. She has, it's a couple of different things that she sent. She said, this is probably related to an upcoming topic, but I have a friend who often has very chaotic energy, and I've begun to notice that she often pulls my frequency and energy down. And she continues by saying, it can sometimes really disrupt my entire day. So besides ignoring her calls, which is setting a boundary, and making time to specifically talk with her when I know I can manage it, are there any other techniques to use? So we've mentioned a few.
We've mentioned a few, the pink ribbons, the pulling your energy in, whether you call it turtling up or I love that. I'm now going to use that just to let you know.
Well, we're going to swap because I'm going to start using hula hoop.
Awesome. Doing the hula hoop, pulling your energy in. A lot of times when we have someone who has chaotic energy like that, and sometimes it's us, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm the one with the chaotic energy. Before I make that connection that I know could feel chaotic, I ground myself. I visualize or feel my growing roots out of the bottoms of my feet down into the earth. I wrap around the crystals in the earth. I pull my as much of my spirit into my body as I can. And I ground myself really well. And also another very practical thing, set a time limit.
Yeah.
set a time limit. I mean, I know that especially in the last couple of months, I've been pretty chaotic, and people have been very kind in dealing with my chaos. And I'm very, very grateful for that. But really it's about, taking care of yourself. And when I'm the one who's feeling chaotic, I literally will hula hoop myself to help other people not get involved in it.
That's kind of like coffee. It's for your best interest, not really mine.
That's right. Can I show my mug?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my favorite coffee mug. And for those of you who can't read it, it says, "My crystal ball says you're full of shit." So
I love that. And I think it speaks to the fact that as we become more in tune with our own energy, we automatically, to a point, become more aware of what other energy is coming in, and our bullshit meter gets, I don't know, kind of bulletproof.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
oh, no, that's not what I need in my space.
Yeah.
I'm going to hula hoop.
Take care, Jamie. I think she signed out already, but
yeah,
okay.
I think we missed that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you called it out. She'll probably pop back in and catch a replay.
And Melanie, you're welcome. I hope that you find those ideas helpful. And I know that sometimes if I know that I have to be in contact with someone who has chaotic energy, I kind of preempt it and I get chaotic too. And then it just feeds on itself, and that's not really helpful. So, grounding, pulling in your own energy, being able to take a deep breath. Sometimes when someone has chaotic energy and they're really struggling, they're not breathing well. So, oh, you're welcome, Robin. Robin was one of the first people I think I ever taught that to.
Wow.
But when I'm feeling chaotic, I just need to take a deep breath. And sometimes if the other person is feeling chaotic, they're not breathing well, I kind of take a deep breath for them. And because it's all energy, it seems to work, because all of a sudden they'll just pause for a moment and take a deep breath.
Yeah.
They don't even know they're doing it.
Right. Well, it's the mirroring thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, that can help too. And if I'm doing a psychic reading for someone and their energy is all over the place, which happens a lot at fairs because there's so much energy going around, I will literally just ask, "Can I ground you before we do this reading? Because you're going to be hard to read when you're all over the room." So I keep myself grounded, and I ground in between every client because I have to in a fair, or I will be just off in the ethers somewhere.
Right.
But yeah, just pulling them, literally, physically, I have them stand up and I reach up above their head and I pull their energy down to the floor, and I do it on the sides and front and back. And that helps them to relax. And you can just see their body just goes from this to this.
Yes.
Their shoulders drop and they can breathe. And then we can have a conversation.
And I agree. I've had that happen. And even just like in customer service, in my muggle job, I deal with people who are upset on a fairly regular basis throughout the day. And I can choose to turtle up and not accept it, or I can choose to share the higher vibe energy and to kind of help try to bring the situation back under control. And I can like project pink heart light in my mind. In pranic healing, we often use what we call the big green glove.
Okay.
In our hands filled or surrounded by green energy, and just kind of sweep their field.
Yeah.
And watch them do the same. It's like,
yeah.
No.
That is so powerful and effective, because so many of us have not been taught to be aware of our own energy.
Yeah. And I think that's really where it starts.
I think so too.
We have to, like, before we walk into the environment, what are we bringing into the environment that may cause things to shift a little bit, and then maybe make everybody else uncomfortable? Because whether we know it or not, we are all affected by everyone else's energy.
Right. I mean, seriously though, have you ever been somewhere and somebody who's really angry walks in? Everybody knows it. That person doesn't have to say a word. Everybody knows it. And that's what we're talking about, is that, when we're saying projecting energy, that's exactly what we're talking about.
And
we don't
know necessarily
Right.
that we're affecting other people or that we're carrying or presenting that energy. And we're not always conscious of the shift. We sense it, we feel it in our bodies. But when the energy in the room shifts, or when you walk into a room where people have been arguing or something traumatic is being dealt with, we feel that.
Yeah.
And we need to remember to bubble up. Courtney smiles at them. Oh, I do that too, because that automatically shifts everybody's energy. Yeah.
One way or the other.
Right. How can you smile at me? I'm so angry. Why are you smiling? You can't smile. I'm angry. Yeah, I'm going to keep my things. Thanks for bringing that one in, Courtney. I love that.
Yeah.
Kristina, any other amazing nuggets? There have been so many. I think I'm going to have to go back and watch this replay and pay some more attention.
Oh, wow. I'm trying to think of different situations, you know, and what do I use in different situations? And grieving is a big thing for me lately, right?
So, me both.
So when dealing with someone who is grieving, and they're grieving for a long time because there's no time limit on grief.
Right.
You know, we try to cheer people up, right? But that doesn't always work when you're grieving. Sometimes we have to be able to, or we can choose to just sit with someone and just be there and just hold space for them. And sometimes that's what's needed.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just need to hold space for somebody. And holding space for somebody, I realize that, you know, this is going to go out and a bunch of people are going to listen to this later and they might not know what that means.
Thank you.
So I wanted to just kind of define what holding space is. And that's just allowing someone to feel what they feel, allowing someone to just be where they are and letting them work through it. Because spiritual bypassing is not really all that helpful. Sometimes people just need to feel what they feel, and being able to hold that space for somebody and being able to just make it safe for them to feel what they feel without judgment is very often the most important thing that we can do.
Yeah. And I think it's something that I'm glad you went further into explaining holding space, because we've talked about this before on the show months ago, in the grieving process or working with people who are grieving, spending time with people who are grieving. In our culture, what we would typically call low vibe emotions or low vibe energy isn't accepted. It's not okay.
Right.
And when we're confronted with someone else's grief, sadness, anger, frustration, sense of loss, love you, Lori. We kind of feel like we need to change that or make them feel better.
Right.
Rather than, as you say, holding space, allowing that emotion, that energy to simply be what it is. Because if we don't allow ourselves to sit in that emotion and we run from it, boy, it's going to come up and bite us in the butt later in unexpected ways. Unexpected events.
And in big ways.
Yeah. When my father was in the hospital and I was traveling back and forth at the end of last year, early this year, my employer, my store director had stopped me and said, hey, you know, I just want you to know that we're thinking of you. And if there's anything that we can do. And I didn't realize just how tightly I'd been holding myself to functionality. Because the moment he started speaking to me and I felt that empathic energy and the support and the unconditional caring that my workplace was amazingly providing for me, I lost it and I had to turn around and walk away.
Yeah.
So allowing us, giving us the opening as we're going through our own processes, whichever process we're going through,
right,
is so essential. Not just for ourselves, but when with other people who are in similar spaces or sharing the same loss, healing each other just by simply being together.
Yes. Yeah. It's really important too, that we all understand that there are no bad emotions.
Right.
There are uncomfortable emotions. There are difficult emotions. There are no bad emotions. it can turn into something if we allow our emotions to dictate our behavior. Like in anger, for example, if we allow anger to dictate our behavior and we do something to hurt somebody, that is not what we're talking about holding space. Letting someone hurt us is not holding space, okay? Because we have to be able to hold space for ourselves too. What I'm talking about though is, if someone, I'm going to back up half a step here. We live in a society that is incredibly uncomfortable with tears.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really understand that, but we live in a society where we are uncomfortable with tears, where a lot of us are anyway. And I know I have been a lot in the past. I really should just buy stock in Kleenex or something, because
I've said that too.
I go through so much of it, especially when I had an outside office. It's like, it was buy it in bulk. It was worth the Costco membership just to buy Kleenex.
It's so funny that you said that, because that's literally right out of my own mouth as well.
Yeah. I do want to get to what Christopher James.
Yeah, I did too. Thank you.
Yeah. He says, now divorced, but went through abuse for years. It's taken a toll on my self-esteem. What do you suggest that I do now? I've been in that situation. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of us have been in a similar situation. And it took me years to really come to terms with all of it. And I'm not saying it's going to take you years, because maybe you're just better at this than I am. But really just allowing myself to feel what I feel without wallowing in it. Let it move through. And things are going to come up. And this is where I find things like therapy, even talk therapy, mm-hmm. to be effective, is because sometimes you just need to let it hit the air and lose its power.
Yeah. Well, and
there's a fine line there too.
It's great that you said that though, because one of the things that I was thinking, Christopher, is that just the ability to allow yourself to put that information in the chat and to share it with us and anyone else who's listening or able to see the comments is a step.
It is. And
it's fabulous that you can even just verbalize where you were and where you're moving forward and what you're going toward.
Right. And I think you really hit on something key there, Deidre, is what are you moving toward?
Yeah.
Can you picture a better future? Can you picture feeling better? And I don't mean visual necessarily, but can you feel what you want to feel like? What do you want to feel like moving forward? And can you reach that, or can you get even a tiny step closer to it?
Yeah.
Maybe moving from depression up into sadness, or you know what I'm saying? Like incremental steps, because sometimes you can't get there from there. If that makes sense.
It's not it's in some way that I can't really explain well. It's a huge leap.
Yes.
And those baby steps are to be celebrated because they're so big.
Right.
And to even be able to ask the question, how do I navigate this to move closer to where I want to be?
That's perfect.
The fact that you're simply asking the question speaks volumes of your steps in your process.
I feel better, but I don't know where to go from here. I'm not sure what you did to feel better, but I would suggest that you keep doing more of that. Meditation, it has been key for me to be able to sit quietly with myself and get comfortable with myself. And that was a huge process for me, because I also came from a similar background, growing up in a violent home, and, then bringing that into my adult relationships. And, it took time to get from where I was. And it's not the time. Time is not the right word. It's the intention, I think, and the choices that we make. And forgive yourself. Yeah, that's a good one from Facebook user. Forgive her. And I had to actually explain forgiving myself to myself, because I had to forgive myself for allowing me to be in that situation in the first place.
Yes. Thank you for saying that, because one of my favorite, what's the word I want? My dream client
Okay.
is someone who shares the process, who shares the history, because there is a point at which we do need to forgive ourselves for allowing ourselves to put ourselves in this situation. And we don't do it consciously. It's
No.
because there's a pattern there that's comfortable, that we recognize whether it's good for us or not. And that's a huge part of the process. I'm glad that question was put out there. I'm glad that you brought that up as well. Forgiving ourselves and then figuring out, where do we set that boundary? How do we learn to set and accept that boundary? And then how do we learn it's okay to enforce it?
Exactly. And how do you know when you've gotten to a point where you've healed some things?
Yeah.
Just as an example, if I'm in a room where a lot of people are yelling, I leave. Like I can't stand it. You know, and I grew up in a house where everybody yelled all the time. Like it was just like, I don't think anyone ever spoke in like a normal voice in that house ever. We were always yelling. Everybody was yelling. And now when people are yelling at each other, the voices go up, I'm out the door.
Yep.
I just will not even tolerate it. And that's really one of the things like, you know, if you find yourself now being uncomfortable with something that used to be normal for you, you're making progress.
I love that you point that out. It's so true.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to necessarily be yelling. It can be, you know, a specific tone of voice. It can be, you know, the energy that someone is in the room. You know what I'm saying? Lee asked, where do we find your meditation that you have online? That's on my website.
Oh,
so
good.
If you go to KristinaBloom.com, I think it's actually under a tab called meditations, and there are 6 free guided meditations on there. You can listen to them through the website. I think you can download them too. So you can go there and get those. They're, like I said, 6 guided meditations. There you go.
Awesome.
I'm not able to post comments.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You're up there now. And for some reason, I'm posting as Deidre and Friends today, not just me. But that's cool. That's my Facebook page for business. You're welcome to come join me there. Ask any questions you want. Todd's got it up there.
Yeah, exactly. Christopher, when you ask, where do you begin from now? I would need to know where you are right now to answer that question.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to answer that question without knowing where you are exactly. Like, I would, again, meditation, do things that you enjoy doing, find out what you enjoy doing. After leaving an abusive relationship, it took me 45 minutes to choose shampoo because I had given over so much of my power to someone else that I couldn't even make a decision on what I wanted to wash my own hair with.
Mm-hmm. I get that. I've actually felt that statement.
Yeah. So unless I know where you are, it's hard to answer what do you do next, because, you know, I could give you at the bottom of everything.
Suddenly being in your own space and in your own energy without someone else's thought processes and energy imposing on you is a huge adjustment.
It is.
Because we get so used to being poised that we're going to make the wrong facial expression, or we're going to use the wrong tone of voice and the wrong decision, the wrong spoon, the wrong fork. It gets difficult. So if you are in your own space
for the first time,
divorced, so if you're in your own space or with us in a supportive space, just getting comfortable with making those simple decisions. Like Kristina said, what shampoo am I going to buy for myself? What spoon am I going to use? What expression is on my face? Let the expression be okay. It's very difficult to choose to give yourself the opportunity to become comfortable in your own energy and in your own space, and to become comfortable with the idea that you're safe.
That was another big one
for me.
That was, and safety is still a big thing for me. And I've been in a safe space for years. So, safety is a huge, huge issue for a lot of people. And if you don't feel emotionally safe, it's difficult to move forward with any type of interaction. So this is really about interacting with yourself. And And I have some suggestions, so I'm just going to throw them out there. I know we're almost out of time here. We've all heard of like past life regressions, but you can do an early life regression.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that. I was very fortunate to be in a position where someone else in a group setting guided us back to our childhood home.
Ooh.
And, you know, it's like, okay, just tell your child that they're safe, tuck them in, let them know that they're okay. And I'm like, I'm not leaving my kid here with these crazy people.
Right.
It was like the great escape for me. I grabbed her and ran. I brought her home with me. And I think that was so empowering for me that I now teach other people how to do that. I teach people how to bring their inner child into your current adulthood and let them know that you're going to take care of them.
Yeah.
That was so empowering for me.
We do that in root cause therapy sessions sometimes too. And it's so beautiful to see clients be able to go through that process and to put themselves in their child selves in a beautiful pink bubble of light and just spend time together.
Yeah.
And have the adult self assuring the inner child that things are safe and I'm there to help you and take care of you.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's a beautiful process. Christopher, I can help you with that if you want to send me a private message through Facebook. It's Kristina L. Bloom, by the way, because I can't get into my Kristina Bloom page because I got locked out of it. So Kristina L. Bloom is where you want to send a messenger message. So
nice.
All right. Deidre, I want to thank you so much for the opportunity to reach out to your audience and to have this conversation with you, because we just need to hang out more.
We do. We said that a couple of weeks ago too, so we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah,
I look very much forward to that. It's wonderful.
Me too.
Kristina, where can we find you? I know we talked about the event that's coming up this Saturday at the Radisson.
Yeah, at the Radisson, I think it's the Radisson Riverfront in La Crosse.
Okay.
From 10 to 5, there is a Body, Mind, Spirit fair going on there, and I will be there doing readings, psychic readings of all kinds. So mediumship, tarot, past life, Akashic records, spirit guide. I mean, once you open the door, it all comes in anyway. So, you can request a type of reading and then spirit will say, okay, but we're going to give you this too.
Yeah, but exactly. Yeah. Exactly. This was our goal, but spirit sent us this way.
Yes.
But I think spirit sent us in a beautiful direction today. I think we crossed T's and dotted I's and a lot of the self-care things that we have planned to talk about today.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited that we're able to add other things in today as well. Christopher, thank you so much for joining us today. Robin, I'm glad you were here, and Joe as well. Thank you for joining us. All of you, we just don't have time to go through everyone who came to join the show with us today, but your comments helped feed us and to help keep this show moving. So thank you all for bringing your thoughts, your ideas, your questions, and your energy to the self-care show this morning.
Thank you.
On WLTK DB. Kristina, they can find you Monday night, 8 p.m.
Monday night, 8 p.m. right here on WLTK DB. Be the change.
And then
we're going to have some sound healing coming up this coming week, by the way.
Yes.
With Audrey Van Way and some sound healing. So
that's fabulous.
Yeah.
All right, we're all going to have to tune in for that one because he doesn't need a little healing, right?
Who doesn't?
I will meet you at that show.
Awesome.
Kristina, thank you again so much for joining us, guys. That's it for us this week. I am Deidre Sanford. This has been the Self-Care Show. I will see you next week, Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. right here on WLTK DB.
Thanks, everyone.
The truth is here and now on WLTK DB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com.